Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us, be very careful with your soul. Do not listen to heretics and idol worshippers that tell you all types of nonsense about HaShem having physical form. Here, Moshe Rabbeinu tells us that the fear of HaShem is something that we must learn, we must practice, but we must also teach our kids. And in fact, the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, in page 88a, shows us how a Kadosh Baruch Hu taught his kids to fear Hashem, right from the get-go. As the Gemara says that when we were at Mount Sinai, the Pasuk says, so you approached and you stood at the lower part of the mountain. This is verse number 11 in this Parasha. Moshe Rabbeinu is reminding Am Yisrael about what happened at Mount Sinai. It says that we stood at the lower part of the mountain. What's the lower part of the mountain? Under the mountain. How can we stand under a mountain? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Gemara says, lifted the mountain in the air. Mount Sinai was floating in the air on top of Am Yisrael. And he said to Am Yisrael, as he suspended the Mount Sinai above the Jewish people, if you accept the Torah, good. This is like a chuppah, like a wedding ceremony. If not, the mountain will fall upon you and crush all of you to death. From the beginning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah with acknowledgement that this is not a joke. This is not a suggestion. This is not a recommendation. This is your life. Now, of course, Am Yisrael is being reminded of this. And then as we move forward, Moshe Rabbeinu again reminds them about the mitzvot, the written Torah, the oral Torah, the chukim, the mishpatim. And then in verse number 15, he says, but you should take great care for the sake of protecting your souls from sin. Although you heard Hashem's voice, do not take that to mean that Hashem has physical form, like the Christians think. For you did not see any likeness on the day Hashem spoke to you at Horeb, which is Mount Sinai, from the midst of the fire. See here, Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us, be very careful with your soul. Do not listen to heretics and idol worshippers that tell you all types of nonsense about Hashem having physical form.
The KEDUSHA has a real arm, a literal arm, mamish an arm.
And he expands upon it in verse number 16 and says, beware lest you act corruptly and make yourselves an image, a likeness of any shape, a form of a male or a female, a form of any animal that is on the earth, a form of any winged bird that flies in the air below the firmament of the heavens, a form of any creeping creature that is on the ground, a form of any fish that's in the water on the earth. And lest you raise your eyes to the heavens, and you see the sun and the moon and the stars and the entire legion of the heavens, and you will stray and bow to them and worship them. And when in fact these are objects which Hashem your God has prepared for all the people under the entire heavens. See here, Moshe Rabbeinu clarifies to Am Yisrael that there is going to be all types of idol worshippers and heretics in our path, telling us that Hashem has arms and legs and physical form, or perhaps an image of some kind. Protect your souls and stay away from those people. Don't have discussions with them, don't have debates with them, simply run away. If you know someone is a heretic or an idol worshiper, remove yourself from the scene. Don't be a hero and start debating them because you think that after watching a few lectures of Rabbi Tovia Singer, you could debate the Christians. Or you heard a few things from my lectures and therefore you could debate the Christians or the Muslims or the heretics. Don't debate. Someone wants to believe falsehood, move on with your life. In verse number 20 again, Moshe Rabbeinu is reminding us, you are different from the other people, for Hashem has drawn you close to the fear of Him, and has drawn you from the iron crucible from Egypt, to be a nation of heritage for Him, as you are this very day. Again, He's not telling us that Hashem brought you close so you can love Him, lovey-dovey. No. So you fear Him. Why? Fearing Him will keep you loyal to Him. For Hashem, your God, in verse number 24, His word is a consuming fire. He is a zealous God. And Rashi says that He's a zealous specifically with idolatry. Just like he has literally jealousy of not literally, he has, in essence, the punishment is if someone is jealous of someone that has stolen his wife. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu reminds us that the only thing that will protect us and keep us away from heresy, idolatry, and all types of things that are against the Torah is the constant fear of Him. Then Moshe Rabbeinu tells us that the witnesses are the heaven and the earth. I summon, this is verse number 26 in chapter 4. I summon the heaven and the earth this day to bear witness against you, that you will surely perish quickly from upon the land to which you are crossing the Yarden river to take possession of it. You shall not have lengthy days upon it, for you will surely be annihilated. Why is he saying this? This is if you violate the Torah. If you start going against the Torah, your end will come very quickly. Shemei Achem. But at some point, you will seek to return to the fear of Hashem. Verse number 29. You'll seek to return to the fear of Hashem your God, and you will find it if you plead for it before Him with all of your heart and with all of your soul. So we see again, doing TeShuva begins with fearing God, because that's what's going to stop you from returning to the sins. Of course, as a person learns more and more, does more and more, they can eventually reach a certain aspect of loving God. But there is no such thing as loving Hashem without fearing Him. As the Baal Tanya says, anyone that is serving Hashem purely from, thinks that they're serving Hashem purely from love is not doing anything. They're not serving Hashem at all. Why? Because there's no such thing as a servant that does not fear their master. But then after we return to the fear of Hashem, in verse number 30, and accept upon ourselves His word, for Hashem your God is a merciful God, and He will not abandon you, and He will not destroy you. So we see here that once we have done TeShuva and we return to the fear of Hashem, Hashem shows His mercy. Hashem shows His mercy. Now, before we clarify that point, Moshe Rabbeinu also says that while a person is in the way of sin, or and investigating other religions, Christianity, Islam, and all the other heretical parts of the world, including those that consider themselves Jews, but they're obviously going against the Torah. Or better yet, if a person is relatively new, a new convert, a new Baal Tshuva, which means that they're almost like one leg in, one leg out. They're not so sure 100% yet. They're not 100% committed yet. Moshe Rabbeinu gives us a reminder of how unique we are, that we received the Torah from HaKadosh Baruch Hu at Mount Sinai. Millions of people see and hear the voice of God. No such thing has ever happened. As Moshe Rabbeinu says, has there ever been anything like this great thing, or anything like it been heard? Meaning not only there hasn't been anything like it, no one has even lied about a story of saying that them and their nation have saw or heard the voice of God. All of the false religions come from a single person. One person that claims that they spoke to God. One person claims that they heard the voice of God. No witnesses. In Judaism, we started at Mount Sinai. Millions of people saw and heard the voice of God. So Moshe Rabbeinu is literally telling us not everything that already happened in the first 2,400 years since creation, but he's telling us everything that's happened over the last 3,300 plus years that no one until this day, and no one ever will, claim that a group of people heard and saw the voice of God. Just never will happen. This is not just a prophecy. This is a confirmation that a Kadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. He will simply never allow such a thing to happen.
You have to learn this week's parasha.
Beware lest you act corruptly and make yourselves an image, a likeness of any shape. Be very careful with your soul.